Alright, Nusa Blue here, and I am going to show you how to use my D&D template with Notion. One thing to note before we begin, it is currently October 2nd, 2020, and this is version 1.07. These versions are static, so if you duplicate this and put it into your own Notion pages, that's it. It's not connected to mine in any way. You're not going to get any more updates, so I've been waiting to make this video until I feel pretty confident that this is workable and won't have any major updates. That being said, with Tasha's coming out next month, I do plan on updating these, the classes, subclasses, races if they're in there, the spell list, and all of that. So if you don't need this immediately, you can wait until I make those updates. Otherwise, you can start using it immediately. You can always add the information yourself. Before we begin, you will need to have a Notion account of your own. Just go to their website, notion.so, sign up. There's a personal free version that has unlimited blocks, which are what all of these pieces of data are. Every single thing in the template, except for one notable exception, works perfectly fine with the free version. The other one still works. It's just a matter of convenience if you have the pro version, and I'll get there when I get there. But once you've made that, navigate back to this page, go up here, and in this corner, you'll see the word duplicate, click on it, and this will become your own. You'll get all the editing privileges. Right now, I have just made a copy for myself because obviously I already own it. So let's get started. On this main landing page, we've got 3 sections. Games here, which have campaign worlds. Notice it's campaign worlds, not campaigns. This is the actual world, because if you're like me, when you DM, you turn around and use the same world for one-shots and side campaigns and all of that. So this is the world itself, and inside you can kind of differentiate with the campaigns. This is a place to keep track of your players. And then we have resources here, which I've just set up some headings that I thought were useful. You can rearrange and do whatever you want. I've also left a few pages that I've created for myself here because why not? If you want to use them, great. If you want to delete them, that's fine. And then finally, the data down here is a bunch of databases that are used elsewhere. Overall, I wouldn't suggest doing too much with this unless you want to create custom things, you know, a custom spell or an item, a weapon, stick in some homebrewed race or something like that. But otherwise, leave this alone. And then this here is the changelog. So this is everything that I've done since I first released it to the public on the 25th, all the way through today when I'm finally making this video. First thing you want to do, if you're going to use this to maintain a campaign, whether you're a DM or a player, is to create a new one. So you can hit new here, or you can hit new up here, doesn't matter. We're going to create new, and it's going to open up this. So I'm just going to call this test campaign. Okay. Now, as soon as this is created, you'll want to go in here and hit campaign world template. This is going to be the majority of what we're going over in this video. It's pretty extensive. You don't really want to start with an empty page at all. So I'm going to click on that and it's going to start thinking about it. This might take a little bit, so I'm going to click away from it and show you a few new things. So first of all, you can mark who the DM is, and notice that there are no options for who it is because we haven't put any players down here yet. This is the first thing that's really nice about doing this in Notion. If I want to say that, let's see, I am the DM, it's going to say that doesn't exist, there's no search results, but I can create a new page in players. I click that, and you see that immediately there's a new player, and I am the DM of a test campaign template. So it immediately populates that, and then here it shows that I'm the DM. So it does this automatically. You can put more than one DM if you do something where you kind of share the DMing duties. There's a lot of different things to do. So for type, I have primary, secondary, one-shot, completed, abandoned. However you want to name these is fine. If you want to make another tag, for example, if this is going to be high fantasy, I can type that in and create that tag. There it is. Date started. These are all not necessary, but you can do it. We're going to start it today. Last session, this doesn't connect to anything, so you'd have to manually update it. All just in case you want that information. They're not necessary. Current here is if you have a bunch, you can check it and then go here, all worlds, current worlds. Current worlds will get it down to just this. Now let's open this up and see if it has worked. Now you can see this is a mess down here. We want to open this as a page so that we can see the whole thing. So here's our test campaign template. This is what you're going to be mostly working out of. I'm just going to go section by section showing you exactly what each of these things can do, and we'll see where that gets us. So first of all, it says click on any link to be taken to its page besides the house rules and the campaign landing page. They're all databases, which are just those tables that you saw. And they're related to many of the others. So this is what some of the power of this is. It basically creates a wiki so that you can attach these NPCs to these locations, or this people group to a plot point, or whatever it is that you want to connect to whatever. So if we come over here, session collections is the first thing that comes up. Now, when I click on this, it's going to take me here. I just have a basic main campaign, primary, session 0 is already in, and the party is already in. Session 0 relates to the session list. The party is where the parties are. These are already created. You can rename them, you can delete them, you can do whatever you want. But this is where you can collect your, this is the main campaign, this is that one shot I did, this is a different whatever. So nothing really to do here because these are already created. Now, one thing I will say is that if you have a bunch of different campaign worlds, say that you are creating one for when you're a DM, and then you play in one every week, and then you've got some friends that did a one-shot once, and you decided to take notes on that, and you're starting to build up a bunch of worlds, it's best to differentiate these names somehow, because every time you use this template, you're going to end up with something called session collections that has this little stack of books, and you're not going to be able to tell what's what. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that this campaign is going to center around a vampire. Well, if I look up vampire, click on that, and make it this, now that's different than all of the other templates that you're using, or all the other worlds. Now, really, I should probably rename this to world so I don't keep saying it that way. Now, what I would do is go here. You hit colon and then type vampire. You're able to stick that guy here as well, and now it's differentiated from all of the other session collections that you've done. So I'll be doing this as we go, because you'll see in a bit that just searching them can be a pain. So that's session collections. Session plans, this is for DMs. It says don't do your planning in the session list. That is intended to be shared with your players if you're the DM. Instead, plan here and link the sessions. If you're a player, this database can be deleted. So if you're a player, you're not planning the session, so you don't need this. If you are, you put in the name. You can link it to a session. So here's session 0 that we could click on. Maybe this is our plan. It automatically pulls in the number so that if you don't just name it session 0, let's say your first one is like beginnings or something like that, it'll still pull the number. The session date will also get pulled if you put a session date in. You can relate plot points to the plan, and then of course you have notes. So let's just say I want a new session, which this is going to, again, create something over in the session list. And this session is going to be called, well, why not? Okay, so now this exists. It'll pull these in when I go back over there. I don't have any plot points yet, but now I've created a new one. So this is, again, for DMs. If you're a player, you don't really need this. And once again, I'm going to do this so that it'll differentiate from all of the other worlds I have. So there's session plans. Now we have house rules. This one is blank. If you're a DM, you want to share this as a public link. So you go up here to where it says share. Then you would turn this on, share to the web. Then all of your players, if you ever share the links with them, will be able to view your house rules. And it says right here, it's already linked on the campaign landing page. So this is just some place you can list them out. You can link a Google Doc. You can do whatever you want here. You can even link it back to the house rules on your main page if you're going to just use the same ones all the time. So this one, there's not a lot to say. Oh, although I do want to. And notice here, if I click this and hit rename, I can rename it straight from here. Actually, I've never tried this. Let's see if it'll let me. Yeah, okay. So we'll want to go back in quickly, turn that into vampire once again, so we can differentiate. So that's house rules. Session list. This is what you can share with the players. Notice that the session 1 I created is in the session list. So I'm going to call it session 1, date and time, in-game date, collection. This is where I can connect it. So let's say that it is part of the main campaign. I can add it as that. Okay. Notice that the session planning name that I said beginnings is not here. That's a separate thing. That's for the DMs to plan with. This is for the players to view. You can name them the same thing. It's no big deal, but as a player, this is also where you can keep your session notes. And this is something I haven't showed you yet, but when you click on new over here, you can choose to start a new one with one of the templates that I've used. So let's just click on this so you can see. Let me call this session 2. I'll call it session 2. Notice you can change everything here. There's some other attachments here that were hidden, or relations that are hidden. Right here, pre-session, the announcements rather, lead in with the session. You can tag a previous session, you can write your notes, you can, good to know. Got a typo there. Previous session, next session, session notes, the summary, the reactions. This is just kind of what I use. You can change this up. You can also, if you go here, click on these, you can edit the template itself so that every time you pull it up, it will be different. For example, I need this to be spelled correctly every time. So there it is. Notice also that once you add something to a page, you get this to show that it's not empty. You can also add an icon here. You know, what if we run into our vampire? There we go, session 2, you got a little vampire. So that's nice just to keep things straight. Now let's say that session 2, let's say we did a one-shot. Maybe this isn't the main campaign anymore. Maybe this was a one-shot. Notice nothing comes up, but we can create a new page over in session collections. Also notice there's our little vampire guy so we can keep everything straight. So I'm going to create that. This one was for a one-shot. So all of these things are connected. That's part of the power of this template. So we're going to back up. That was a session list. Now the campaign landing page can be deleted if you are a player. If you're a DM, this is the link that you are going to give to all of your players. So again, you go up here to share, share to the web, and then give them that link. Now, I said before, there was one time that a matter of convenience, it's easier to have the pro personal version, and this is it. Right here, in your player list, you can just tag all of your players. So, my player that I created way back in, I can search for, and there it is. Okay, I can tag myself. Now, it says mention players from your list, which is using the @ symbol, and add them here. Make sure to share each player's page with the individual person, not as a link. Okay, so if you share as a link, like I just did with this page, and then you give that link just to your individual players, you know, Johnny gets this link and Betty gets that link and whatever, that's fine. But because they're public links, if you tag any of them here, all of them will be able to get to each other's player pages. If that doesn't bother you, fine. But if it does, Pro version allows you to share with individuals. They would need to sign in, and then only that person can see it. And that's where this would be useful. Now, as a note, the free version, as of right now, I believe has 5 free people that you can add. So if you are a DM and you only have 4 or 5 people in your group, you could actually still do that, assuming that you don't want to use that for anything else in your whole Notion setup. So it's an option, but that's where this actually comes into use, I guess. So right here, I've linked my house rules. Notice there's the vampire. So I know that this is the house rules on my little vampire page, on my test campaign world, not on anything else. So it updates automatically. And notice here's my session list. In this case, I have them sorted so that the highest session number is at the top. But this is something that all of your players can see. And if you go here to calendar, you will be able to actually see a calendar once you've put a date in. So let's go back to the table view, and let's say that session 2 is going to be tomorrow. Okay, now on the calendar, there's session 2. Okay, so this is really convenient for you to share with your players so that they all have a place. You can create any number of pages here, you can link documents, but remember that this is all something that's going to be public to your players. So as a DM, just be careful what you link, and be careful about all the sharing permissions. I'm not going to get into all of that again. And again, as a player, you don't need this at all. You can just delete it. Okay. So that is all of this campaign info. So let's go to the world building. First thing is plot points. Use this as a DM to plan out future plot points and record major historical events. They can be related to your session plans as the players encounter them. Players can delete this. Again, you're not planning sessions, you don't need plot points, but you just have name, tags, you can relate sessions. You can also relate them to each other. So this is something else that's really cool about this. Let's say that I have, a thief you're going to get stolen from, right? But that's a bigger part of, some underground Thieves Guild. Thieves Guild. Okay, so this encounter, this plot point thief, is part of a bigger underground thieves thing. So I want to say that its parent plot point is the Underground Thieves Guild. Now, it shows up here, and Underground Thieves Guild says there is a child, under plot point here. So you can relate them to each other in the same database, which is really nice. In-game date is, if you use a different calendar, you can say what the date is, any notes, and then whether it's occurred or not is nice, because then you can say, yeah, this happened, and then if you want to create a filter, you can remove that. So that's the plot points one. Let's go back. Oh, well, and once again, I forgot to put my vampire here. Let's stick him there just in case. All right, quests. So quests, this is where we really, really get into all of the related databases. So you can name the quest. You can say which party was given the quest. You can name one of the NPCs as a quest giver. You can say a related location or related organization. You can say which session it was given during. This will get pulled from there. You can say whether or not the group accepted the quest. And then you can do a status, which, let's just add a quest here, or find our thief here. We're going to make that be the party. We don't have any of these filled in yet, but session, let's say that they got that back in session 1. Oop, this is pulling from the wrong place. I will fix that in a bit. They accepted it, and now the status, you could say it's not yet received if they haven't accepted it, not started, in progress, they've paused it, they were only partially successful, completed, failed, and you can also create whatever you want here. Let's see, we fix this, we want to see the session number. So that's how you would fix that in case this happens every time. So there, session number is shown. So those are requests. One more time, we're going to stick this guy there. So there is a little bit of setup work at the beginning. But now we've got this. Organizations, same kind of thing. Name the organization. You can tag it like it's a, it's a thieves guild. Let's just say there's the Underbelly. It's a thieves guild. So I just type in. And now that exists. I can take NPCs, locations. I can tag find the thief as part of the quest here. Notes, and then over here is at a glance. If you check this, it will show up in a summary page that I'll show you in a bit. So let's keep it checked so that it'll show up in that summary page once we go there. And this time I'm not going to forget to add our vampire man. Now, after organization, we see the economy. This one's a little bit different, but I found it extremely useful, both as a DM and as a player. You can put the item. So let's say that they're dealing in illegal weapons, and I don't know, they've got some mall. Okay. You can say one was purchased for 100 gold pieces. Okay. You can say where that happened. We don't have any locations yet except for the material plane that's already there. You can tag the type. So this would be equipment, and you can say what session it happened in. So once it loads here, let's say in session 1, we purchased that mall from the Thieves Guild as part of a, operation to uncover what was going on, whatever. So this can be used both as players to track items that you purchase or that other people purchase, and this is something you can go back to, refer to, and say, hey, this is a bad deal, right? Malls normally cost $5. Now they cost 100. They're trying to scalp us, right? So it's just something. And as a DM, it helps you keep track. How much did I say it cost for a night at the inn? I don't remember. Let's say 10. And then the next time you decide it was 2, and the next time you decide it was 15. Well, this will help you keep track. So that's what all of this is. Oh, and once again, forgot my little guy. But at this point, I think you get the point. Deities. So here's another one. This one's not related to any others, but you can name your deity, say what they're the god of, put an alignment in, pick some domains for your clerics. If you've got multiple pantheons going on, then you got this, and notes. So this one's pretty basic, doesn't connect. Okay, so this is all the world building stuff. Now we go over here. Notice there's a bunch of basically nouns. So parties. Right here, you've got the party. You can say which PCs are part of the party. You can say which NPCs are part of the party if they've gone along. You can say where their home base is, and you can say which collection, whether it's the main campaign, it's the one-shot that this party is connected to. So let's say for the one-shot that we made up earlier, we have a party called the, Flounders. You can say that this is part of that one-shot. Okay? And let's say that the one-shot has already happened. We don't want it to show up in the current ones. I believe this should say at a glance actually, but it's the same thing. It'll go to that summary page I was talking about. So here we are. Parties. Let's go to the next one. The heroes. These are your PCs. So let's say I have a character named Joe King. And then there's just information here you can put. So let's say that he is human because we're boring, and he's a fighter. He's going to be a champion because we're basic again. Alright, so level 1. And notice, level 1, we actually need to select it. You're not just typing a number. Once we select level 1, it says, this is the experience to level up. You need 300 experience in order to get to the next level. So let's say that in our one shot he got 200. Well, now he needs 100 to level up. Okay? So this is something you can delete if you don't use experience, but if you do, it's kind of nice for it to automatically calculate for you. Now, the player. Who plays this person? Well, it should be looking for me, but it apparently, oh, there we go, just loading. Okay, so I'm the DM, I don't play this. So let's say I've got a guy named Human, one of my players, right? Now, these will be connected, and if we went all the way back up here to our template, you would see that Hugh has a character named Joe King now. Which party is he in? Well, let's say just the main party. You can attach files here, you could upload tokens, and then at a glance, do you want to see this PC in the summary page? Yeah, sure we do. Okay. Headed back. Now, let's just show you a little bit of what this does. Let's go to parties. Joe King now shows up in the party, because that's where we put him. Non-player characters. This one is going to get really full really fast, but you can put the name, the gender, the race, class if they have it, age and years if they have it, their alignment if they have it. Some of these aren't going to be relevant if you are a player, because you're not going to know. But if you're a DM, you can keep them. If you're a player, you can delete it or whatever. Locations, so you can say which locations they're attached to, which organizations they're part of, which quests they've given. At a glance, this is again whether you want it on the summary page or not, and then deceased, in case you want to just deal with all the living guys. So let's say that our thief is named Steal Stuff. Alright, and he is a guy, because I keep saying he is. Let's say he's a kobold. Okay, and, rogue, because of course. And so you can go in, attach all of these things, and let's say he's in the location. Notice that we haven't even been to the location page yet, but again, I can create a page in locations without being there. So he's part of the capital city, and he's part of the, hey look, the underbelly. He's not giving me the quest, so I'm not going to tag him here. But yeah, he's relevant right now. I might want him on the thing, and we haven't killed him yet. So here we go. And let's just say you got, I don't know. George Underbelly is the leader of the thing. Just, put in a few things. We can click Rogue. He's also in Capital City. He's also part of the Underbelly. Okay, and this will just be relevant because we'll come back to it later. So there's your NPCs. Something else to mention here is if we open that up and we say he's, and this is, you can, if you're a player, NPC notes will just kind of be basic. A basic NPC for the DM. Let's just say that I'm DMing. I want a basic NPC. It's going to think for a moment here, but this one isn't too big, so hopefully it doesn't take too long. Now, I can put basic information. I can type his name, his occupation, his home base, last seen. So let's say his home base, is the capital city, like I said. We use that @ symbol, and it's going to start looking through all of my pages. And there's capital city. Okay. Now, we can go link to it whenever we want. His occupation, last seen, physical description, personality, any notes, dealings with the party, knowledge that you want to make sure that you don't forget about. You can go through his life and personal history. This is all in here, right? So any one of these you can expound upon. Now let's say in his relationships we want to tag he's actually the father of steel. Well, now father of steel stuff right here. Okay. Now, interestingly, let's just say I go to steel stuff, look him up. Right here, there are backlinks. Click on that, and it says you're connected to George Underbelly. Go to George Underbelly, and it takes me right to where he's connected. So this is something Notion just added, which makes this template even better. You can go back and forth and see how everything is interconnected. So it's really nice. We go back to non-player characters. Notice again, he's now got this saying that there's stuff on his page. Steel stuff, we didn't do anything, so there's not. So there's our NPCs. Peoples are meant for people groups. So let's say you have, like, I don't know, some plains humans, right? People that live on the plains. You can tag them whatever. You can pick their primary language. You know, maybe they know Common, but they also know, I don't know, Tabaxi, or let's do like Orcish, okay? Because well, that's not loading at the moment. But point being, you could oh no, there it is. So they know Common and Orc, and then you can say their location is on, and notice there's capital city. Well, let's call them the Plain Plains. Okay, creating it in locations. So now we have people, and again, you open it up, people's template, history, culture, important figures. It's nothing special, but you now can fill in a bunch of things about these Plains humans, whoever they are. All right, next, locations. So note that we've been, in the course of going through these, hitting on some locations. Well, if we go in here, they're already here. Plains, Plains, the capital city. Notice here, peoples, the Plains humans, NPCs. We got Steel Stuff and George Underbelly. Now, this gets really big really fast, and you can see it's pretty crammed, so I would recommend going here and turning off wrap cells. It's going to just trail off into nothing, but that's fine. We can always see it by clicking on it. So, parent locations and child locations. Maybe capital city is in the center of the Plain Plains. So capital city's parent location is Plain Plains. Child location of the Plain Plains, capital city. So you can connect all these locations to each other. You can start with the material plane and just kind of go down from there. Also, under type, there's a bunch of different ones here. So let's say the Plain Plains would be a region. Capital city would be a settlement. Okay, so those all show up here. And then personally, I would sort by their type first. So go over here, say type, and it's going to put them in the order that you see them here, which is nice because I kind of have gone smallest to biggest. So that's locations. Also, again, at a glance. So maybe I don't really care about the material plane right now. Yes, we're on it, but it's kind of too big. But I want these guys. Okay, locations, languages. This one is just so that you can keep track of who speaks what. It goes under peoples here. Known by, if you wanted to say tag a player and then use it, we'll get to that in a bit. But this would show you a bunch of tags for who knows your languages. Notice that it's not the relation field though. They're not connected because that would get really messy really fast. So these are all just kind of the basic languages in the player handbook. You can easily add new languages, however you want to do that. Finally, over here we have Miscellaneous. This is just added, and this is literally just anything else that is something you want to have a page about, but doesn't fit into those categories. So I give a couple of examples. Diseases, resources, holidays, just anything. You know, maybe you create a creature. Whatever it is. So you can just name it, and then you've got a place where you can tag it. But there's no relations or anything here because it doesn't know what you're going to put. So that is all of the different sections. Again, all interconnected. So notice here is our at a glance. So at a glance, recent sessions displays the session number and the date. So because this date is within the last month, it's going to show up here. We checked our active PC Joe King, so you can see he's a human fighter and he's level 1. Relevant NPCs, George Underbelly and Steel Stuff, male human, male kobold, just give you basic stuff. Our current locations, the plains, capital city, and the material plane. It actually appears, quests, Underbelly, it may not be doing the filtering that I want. So you would have to create a filter, add a filter, at a glance is checked, and now that's gone. So apparently it doesn't save that when I copy it over. Good for me to know. But we have this. Okay. And so this is something that just on this main page, without getting into everything, you can kind of see your major people, and they're connected to the ones you already have. Over here are just notes. You just want some note pages, here you go. And there's some suggestions for other pages. You know, a calendar, creatures. This is something you can find on the Alexandrian article, something that I use, and so I created it, and why not share it? If you don't need it, delete it. And then, you know, resources, world history, just whatever kind of pages you want. All you have to do is click and drag these. So world building, I want the calendar. It's no longer green because it's under there, but I go to color, make it orange so it matches, ta-da, and now I could go in here, I could link to a calendar, I could upload a document, I could just remind myself when the holidays are, whatever I want to do. So that's simple enough. Now, there's one more thing I want to show you, and I'm going to show you in the context of being a player. So let's say I am a player, I go to session list, we got session 1, session 2, and there, I was going to say session 0 should be in here too. So let's just say I go to session 1, open this up. Notice that items sold or purchased. We had them all there. DM plans, beginnings, because I was showing this as a DM. And our quest given that session is find the thief. So all of these things we know. Now, I'm going to go to standard session notes, which I showed you before. Notice, now session is spelled correctly because I changed it in the actual template. Now, let's say that we are in the middle of a session, I'm taking notes, and we meet another thief. And we're going to name her, because, you know, let's represent here. I'm going to be boring and name her Sarah. Now, notice I hit the plus sign. Immediately when I start typing this, it says you can either create a new subpage here, or you can create a page in, and this is also new, and it's super powerful for taking notes. Let's create a new Sarah page in. Now it shows a bunch of different pages I've recently done, templates. You can automatically create a template. That's nice. I'm going to search for player characters. Oop. And right here, this is exactly why we put that vampire on everything. Because which one is it? Well, I'm getting myself in trouble here because I finally didn't do that, and here we are. Otherwise, it's a guessing game, so you'll want to put it. So I'm actually going to go back, click away from everything, and just so I can show you how this works. We'll go to non-player characters. Let me put my vampire man here. And then go back to our session list. Go back to session 1. Okay, now, let's try this again. We're going to add met another thief named Sarah. New Sarah page in. Let's look for non-player characters. And well, why did it delete it? There it is. Weird. Okay, so non-player characters. And now that I can tell which one it is, I click that. Sarah is now created on over there, and I did it all while typing within this. Met another thief named Sarah, who is not part of the, let's say, let's look for underbelly. Not part of the underbelly. So I'm taking these notes, and these are linked. So let's say I go to the underbelly. It's connected to session 1. It was in session 1. Go to session 1, right there, highlighted, right back and forth. So super useful. Okay, and so then say you want to link to the next session, but you want to do it right from here. We use the plus sign. I'm going to create session 3 because we already did 2. Session 3, new session 3 page in, and I'll want to add it to my session list. And hopefully, yeah, for whatever reason it's not coming up when I type the whole thing, and when I only type part of it, it does. But there it is with our vampire, so that it differentiates, because you can see I've done this a bunch. I've got a bunch of session lists, some of them old. So there that is. It links. We click on it. It takes us to session 3. Notice that it backlinks to session 1. We did it out of order. Normally, obviously, this would be 2. But this way you can go back and forth really easily between. So that's really nice. So that is the session, or rather the campaign template. If you find any errors or have any questions, please comment either here or honestly, I'll probably be watching the Reddit page more. If there's something you really want to see, let me know and I'll see if I can build it in. The last thing I want to do is just go back and show you on the main landing page what we've got. All of this information that I entered is here. Notice that Hugh is here. And I am the DM of. Now, actually, there's one other thing here. If we go to Properties, you can see that Related to Heroes is here, and that it's off. If we turn that on, it's going to pop up here, and there's Joe King. Now, if I rename this to, say, our best campaign world, all of a sudden you can see on this main page all of your players. So if you are a player, especially, this is really useful because I'm the DM of this campaign, but let's say that there's a second campaign that somebody else is DMing. Let's say Hugh is DMing. Well, that pops up here. If I want to create a character in his campaign world, then I would have to go in here, create the campaign world template while it thinks. Okay. And then we go in again to properties. And it's not there yet because it's thinking, but oh, there it pops up. Related to his heroes and his campaign, we can turn that on. Call it Test 2 World. And check this out. I can create the character from right here. Let's say I make a character named Sally, right? Create it. She's there. And she's in his campaign world, right? So you can have all of your characters laid out right here in the beginning. Shrink it up. You could hide the ones that you're not currently using, but this is a really nice visual for all of that. So that is it. If, again, you have any questions, let me know. If you want to see anything added, please let me know. I'm happy to do it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.